blessings on the 17th Sunday of Pentecost, the 15th of September 2024. The lessons for today, this Sunday, speak a lot about speaking. Isaiah talks about being given the gift, the voice of a teacher, and James talks about in the letter to James, how the voice, how the tongue is like a little rudder that steers a large ship, and how one little match can start a big fire, so too the tongue. The dangers of and the power of our voice. And then Jesus comes along and in the gospel and asks his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" And they explain different people are thinking this and that, and then he asks them, "Who do you say that I am?" And he really calls them on this, and Peter looks at him and says, "Jesus, you're the Messiah." And then he goes on to say, "Those who profess me and those who acknowledge me before others, I will acknowledge before God, and those who don't, I won't." And it's important that we're able to understand and claim and name and tell our story of faith. When I was a kid, growing up with my siblings, I was always cautious to let people know what I liked, especially because if I told my brothers and sisters that, "Boy, I really like ice cream sandwiches," that's the thing they would go for. They would know what and I knew that if people always, if they wanted to really tease me or do something, they would go after what I really liked and what was important to me. Even in school, if I let somebody know that I was told a friend I was interested in some girl, I was always dangerous about doing that, because then he might say something and the word would get out, and I could be humiliated, especially if the girl didn't like me. It was very a terrifying thing to let somebody know, this is what I think, this is what I like, this is who I am. And yet it's important that we are able to share with each other, not just our complaints, but that which is important, that which has defined our life. I've served on many ecumenical events, and there's a part of me that kind of moves towards being very codependent and wants to please everybody, wants to make everybody happy. So whenever we're together with a group of people who are different faiths together, I'm not always pushing my faith. I'm always wanting to honor everyone else and make sure everyone else feels welcomed and okay. But it's important, and I've learned more and more, to stand firm in who I am. And what other people think sometimes is not that important. But my relationship with Jesus is. And even in an ecumenical gathering, people would rather have me be true to who I am. And this is what I believe, and this is my story. But I've been very cautious with that sometimes. And to my own detriment. It's important that we're able to share what God has done in our life. Because it is amazing. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Jesus. Paul knew this, and this is where his whole message came from. Peter, James, John, all these people, they knew this. St. Francis turned his life around. I mean, the list goes on of people for thousands of years. But their story is their story. I need to share mine. And there are things that I regret in my life. There are things I felt sorry for and still do. But I know that God's mercy has been there for me to help me accept this is what I've done, who I am, and to grow up, to accept responsibility, to accept myself, to accept who I am, and to love myself, and in doing so, able to love others. The power of God's love for me has turned my life around, has kept me from depressions and self-destructive tendencies. It is the love of God that has made me who I am. there's nothing, I would say, that is more important to me than that which is my faith. And this realization, and share that, able to share in a culture and a climate that faith is sometimes put down for a number of reasons, some good. I know a number of fellow Christians who won't call themselves Christians. They say, I follow Jesus. I'm not a Christian, because of Christianity has been so aligned with political ways of thinking, and more so with politics than with faith. But politics come and go. I've prayed for how many presidents back and forth in different ways. They will continue to come and go. How we express who we are in our relationship of faith is so important. I think that in any relationship, it's probably easier sometimes for couples to have sex than it is to pray together. I mean, what do we say? What do we do? It's more vulnerable sometimes to share that which is deeply held, not just a superficial faith of, oh, I'll pray for you in this, but when we really do pray, and this is what's our very foundation, it's different. On one level, our country shares so much of faith, but we really are so shallow in so many different ways about our faith. Let us remember to tell our stories, to honor that which has happened in our life, even the hardships. To tell our story, for that is what preaching is. It's not telling others what to do, but telling one's own story. Sharing, this is what happened to me. Whether it was Paul getting thrown off a horse and being blinded, or me just being touched by God's grace in quiet moments of solitude, knowing that I'll never be the same. May God's blessings be with you, surprise you with great joy, and touch you in a way that only is unique to you. It will transform your life into a deeper love. Amen.